I banged my head against my buddy's head, and I went to church the next day with a welt on my forehead, or side head. Yeah, side head. That's the thing now. So I used the insurance money from that to buy this truck. It was a '93 Chevy S10. I loved it. The guy before me, his dad was a mechanic, so he kept it really nice, and it smelled really, really good when I got it, which is great as a college kid because everything that you own smells like crap. So I took it up to college, and that was my car for all of college. And one day in college, Clovis West used to do their FCA early in the morning, so I got the call to go speak there. It's woohoo, chances to speak at school. This is awesome because I was new at the chief pastor thing. So I was really stoked. If you go to East, FCA starts Wednesday, be there. If you go to Gateway, FCA starts Thursday, be there. It's at lunch, both places. Ask people who know so that you can go there and show up and stuff. So I go to Clovis West FCA, and they've got a carton of milk afterwards because it's Clovis West, and they just buy whatever they want. And so I decided I would take that home. They offered it to me. I'm a college kid, we don't have milk because that costs money. We have top ramen because that's dirt cheap. But I took the milk home, and I got off the freeway, and I don't remember if I came to a hard stop or if I made a turn fast or something, but the milk fell over. And you know that saying, don't cry over spilt milk? That is a load of horse manure, because I thought that in my head, don't cry, it's going to be fine. And I ended up, this is November, okay? Fast forward in your head to November, okay? The mornings are nice and cold. The afternoons are still just as butt hot. So you get all bundled up to go to school, and then by third period, you're sweating and taking off layers like crazy because the weather hates you. Just like it did all summer. It hates you. So I did that to my car. I got back, I just kind of mopped it up a little bit, rolled up the windows, shut the door, and left it for 2 days. So then, that's a Monday morning. I got in there Wednesday night to go to junior high group, the place where I was a junior high pastor, opened the door, and did one of those And the best part was I was driving somebody else that night. So it's November, it's nighttime, we're both freezing because all of the windows are rolled down and we're trying to drive with our face out the window. It smelled so bad. Alright, this is 2001. I still had the car for 5 more years, and I swear every time I would get in there and the temperature was over 50 degrees, I smelled the milk of death. It was just stuck. That scent just wouldn't leave. It turned the carpet where it spilled green. It went from gray to green. I tried to grind coffee into it, and nothing helped the death, hell smell of the milk. And the reason I tell that story is because we all know people who are exactly like that. Alright? You look at my car from across the parking lot, and you're yeah, it's fine. It's an S10 truck. Looks like it's driven by a college kid who bought it himself, not his daddy rolling off some big fat thing and giving it to him. This is a kid who bought it himself. And then you open the door, and you're I would die before I go in there, ever. And I would have said that, but I had to drive to my job so that you get more money to put gas in your car to drive to your job. So you can get more money to put gas in your car so you can drive to your job. Everyone knows the life. Unless you think you're going to be different, which you're not. But those people, where as soon as you get close to them, as soon as they kind of open the door into their life, you realize you're a miserable person, and I want to shut that and throw up and never talk to you again. And I think one of the biggest ways, tell me if I'm wrong on this, one of the biggest ways that you find out whether or not somebody is toxic is because of the way that they talk.
I'm going to upload this to YouTube if I have permission.
Right? I think as Christians, okay, if we can kind of speak to our own for a little bit, if you're not a Christian, you're probably totally going to agree with this. But Christians don't cuss. Right? That's just kind of the label that's put on us. You meet somebody who says that they're a Christian and they start cussing, and you're you must be faking it or going to church for the girls. Because, get off of me. Yeah, that's true. But cussing is one of those things where it just gets the label. I don't think Jesus ever said, you're going to know whether or not somebody follows me by whether or not they use the F word. But we've just kind of put that on people that if they cuss, they might not be legit. They must be fake. And so when Jesus talks about cussing, and he actually does, but I think what he does is going to be so important and influential for us as we think about this whole idea of how you talk, is Jesus doesn't just go on the idea that if you're a good person, you're not going to do these things. Because all of us can fake it. And he's God, so he knows all about how much we fake it. But he goes so much deeper than that. He goes so much deeper than just don't swear. Because we can all agree that you shouldn't swear, all right? When you go to Thanksgiving and you're talking to grandma, you probably shouldn't swear, right? But in the rest of life, what do we do? What do we do when we're angry? Does God really care? Jesus avoids the whole what's a bad word discussion, and he goes to something deeper, and that's motive. He goes after motive. Jesus knows our thoughts, and that matters more than our actions. Jesus knows our thoughts, and that matters more than our actions. I'm not going to stay up here and say what you do in life doesn't really matter because Jesus only cares about your heart. No. Actions matter. Actions completely matter. But Jesus is going after, in all of us, what's the motive behind everything that we do? Because all of us have done good things for really bad reasons, right? You did it so that your parents wouldn't find out about something else. You did it so you could get their number. You did it because you really need an A on the test and you think that if you serve on Sunday morning, Jesus is going to help you pass the test on Monday morning, right? Like we've been there. Jesus knows our thoughts and that matters more than our actions. What he's talking about here, we're going to be in Matthew 15. You can go there in your Bible or in your app now. He's talking to a bunch of crazy, over-the-top rule followers. They had rules upon rules. Everything had a rule for them. And if they would never break their rules, they figured everything was fine. Like, forget what's on the inside. And Jesus shows up one day and gets in a fight with them because that's what he always did. And he's saying what you're doing to try to get closer to God is actually hurting people. Like, I know your actions, you're trying to look good and everything, but your thoughts, you're throwing people out of the equation. He says you might not swear, you might not say bad words, but the things that are in your head are toxic. And so he comes at them with this. They're talking, they're arguing back and forth. And Jesus quotes this guy who lived like 600 years before him. And he said it in a way that everyone who was there would know exactly what he's talking about. And I think it's such a great window into how we look at profanity and how we look at whether or not we should cuss or whatever. And he says, these people, they honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Would that describe you? How often would that, if you think, like, man, I'm better than these people, I don't cuss, tonight's not for me. Yeah, but what's going on the inside? We put it on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter this week that we can't ever hide from our hearts. Can't hide from your heart. This is what Jesus is talking to a bunch of people who are probably in this room. I have never said those words except for when I asked my parents what they meant, and then I immediately apologized. I've never sworn. I'm not that person. That's not my problem. Jesus is great. That's not what I'm asking. What's going on in your heart? And for the guys that he was fighting with in this, his big thing is everything that you do is a show. Because what's inside of you is dead. That's bad. How often has that been you, where you think, man, I need to keep up all the outward appearances. I need everybody to think that I'm good. I need to be like 10,000 on the holy point scale. Because inside, I am unhappy and I am bitter. And Jesus needs to do something. And that's what happens when we talk, because the things that we say reveals what's in our heart. What we say with our voice, with our mouth, shows what's in our heart. Jesus says this to the crazy rule follower people. This is verse 18. He says, the words you speak come from the heart. That's what defiles you. For from the heart comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, all sexual immorality, theft, lying, and slander. These things are what defile you. Eating with unwashed hands, like that was the little thing they were fighting over, isn't going to defile you. He's saying whether or not you cuss, whatever, you shouldn't. Okay, hear me on that. You shouldn't. But so much bigger of an issue to Jesus is if you don't and you let God work on your heart. Because all of us can substitute words, all right? It's the Christian cuss words where you say frickin' instead of saying the other one, all right? And everyone has just adopted crap as like an okay word, okay? Right? Everybody's like nodding your head. That's what Christians say. If they get really mad, they say crap. Sometimes they say frickin' crap. Like that's the double dog, really bad one. Andrew, don't tell your mom, bro. But what Jesus is saying is it's going to be something that's deeper. I don't care about what you say because I can see your heart and I know that you're substituting words. You can say peanut butter and it can be a swear word if your heart is sick, if you're mad, if you're impatient, if you're frustrated with everything. And this is how Jesus does life, all right? If you think this is strong, this is how Jesus does life. He doesn't tell people, don't kill people. Don't use your hands to take somebody else's life. He says, no, don't even hate them. If you hate them, deal with that. Don't wait until you kill them. He also talks about sex. He says, don't just not have sex. Instead, completely cut out the thoughts that lead to that. This is how he does it. He says anyone can fake number one. Anyone can stop right before that line of killing someone, or stop right before that line of going too far and having sex with somebody. But what I'm after, and what Jesus is really after in our lives, even with the things that we say, is what's going on in your heart that's going to lead you to that stuff. And that's where every single one of us comes up empty. Because we can all stop before number one. We can always lie our way out of number one. But we can never stop what's in our heart. And that's where Jesus wants to come in. That's where Jesus wants to take over. Is for us all to admit, hey God, I might go today without swearing, which is good. You should do that. Because it totally affects the way that people see you and the way that people see Jesus once they know you're a Christian. But God, what about the things that are in my heart? What about the things that I'm so mad about that I can't even talk about without erupting? Let's just hide those and just stand behind, hey, I didn't swear today. Jesus says, I want to know everything. I want to know what's in your heart. I want everything. And then we'll work on the cussing. We got a video of somebody who lived that out here in the exchange.